California Governor Gavin Newsom just finished up all of the bill signing and bill vetoing for this legislative session. And I've got a list of the top 10 worst new bills that have now become law that Newsom has signed. Coming up, the worst 10 new laws in California and how we're fighting back. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state legislator. And this podcast is very difficult for me to record today because I'm supposed to come up with a list of the top 10 worst new laws that Governor Gavin Newsom just signed into effect this week. But the reason why it's so hard to do this podcast is there are so many outrageously bad bills that he just signed into effect. We're going to be covering many of these bills that are not on the list today coming up in future episodes of this podcast. But I'm going to give you 10 really bad, and I consider them, 10 justifiably worst laws that have now taken effect in the state of California. And I'm going to explain how they impact you and what we're doing to fight back. Before I get to the dirty list of 10, I need you to know that you don't have to tolerate this crap from your governor and your legislators imposing bad laws on you. We need to fight to take back our state from the far left insanity. You can do that in a couple ways. At Reform California, we are leading the revolt across the state to recruit better candidates for office. And yes, we are going to be doing an endorsement soon in the governor's race and every race all the way down to school board, city council, all the way up to state senate and state assembly. But we can't do this work without your help. So ground zero on all of our campaigns, as well as our news stories, all can be found at the website reformcalifornia.org. Reformcalifornia.org. There's the site. You can check out all of our news stories up there and help us break through the bias of the liberal media in California. You also can get engaged with a lot of our campaigns, including the California Voter ID Initiative campaign. There it is, the main campaign site. We are trying to collect 1 million signatures to put the California Voter ID Initiative on the ballot. If you go to voteridinitiative.com, you can sign the petition after downloading and printing it. You also can request a volunteer kit. We also are doing events up and down the state of California. I want to see you at one of my events. I'm in a bus tour for the next 3 weeks that we are fighting Prop 50, but we're also doing our signature drive on California Voter ID. Click under the events tab and come to one of the events in the area that you live in. I'd love to meet you, shake your hand, take a picture, give you a free No on Prop 50 lawn sign. And then finally, if you can, sign up to join our movement. It's free. At the bottom of the website, reformcalifornia.org, put in your first name, last name, email, phone, and zip code, and you will be tethered into our growing movement to take back California. With that, shall we begin with the bad news? The 10 worst bills that Governor Gavin Newsom just signed into law. And again, this is not a complete list, but it's 10 really bad bills. We will be covering additional bad bills as the next few weeks allow us. But the first, SB 627. Newsom signed this bill into law. And the reason why it's so awful is that it puts at risk the lives of federal, state, and local law enforcement, police officers, law enforcement, California Highway Patrol. It doxes them. It says that they're not allowed to hide their identity. They're not allowed to wear masks. Now, why would a law enforcement agent wear a mask? Well, because many law enforcement agents have been targeted by militant far leftists. It puts them and their family at risk. And many of them are engaged in operations that they need to have their identity hidden. When people say, well, they're hiding their identity and doing bad things, there's already ample legislation and laws on the books that if a law enforcement agent does a wrong thing, whether they're wearing a mask or not, they will be prosecuted. They will be held accountable. SB 627 says, can they wear a mask while they're doing something lawful? And I think the answer should be yes, to protect their identity. But this is a bullying bill. Newsom is trying to bully, harass, intimidate, and yes, put at risk law enforcement agents. The true shame of this bill, on so many levels, it's shameful, but Newsom exempted his own security detail. He exempted state law enforcement. He says it applies to the federal ICE agents, but it doesn't. The federal government agents are not subject to this law. It's unconstitutional from that standpoint. It's illegal, but Newsom doesn't care about illegality or unconstitutional bills. He signs a number of them. They get thrown out by the U.S. Supreme Court, the federal judges. He's doing it to grandstand. He's doing it to put chum in the water for his political races. This has nothing to do with what's right or what's good for safety. It has everything to do with what boosts his campaign for president. Next bad bill, SB 518, in the middle of a budget crisis. Newsom signs a bill creating another state bureaucracy, and this one is not only wasteful, it's particularly offensive and unconstitutional and illegal. You see a pattern here? He creates a state reparations agency of a bunch of bureaucrats who are going to start creating programs to give taxpayer funds out to people based on their skin color. That's right. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled this to be in violation of the 14th Amendment, equal protection, and it will be overturned if they try issuing any money. But there will be a bunch of bureaucrats hired in the middle of a budget crisis because Gavin Newsom is playing politics, trying to divide us based on our skin color. SB 155, state-run propaganda, creates a state of California propaganda agency, a slush fund for the governor to reward local news outlets who give him favorable coverage. He will give them millions of dollars saying, thank you for your coverage, do more. We are going to be doing an analysis of who gets the grants from Gavin Newsom for propaganda, local news, liberal media outlets, who don't have subscribers, by the way. They don't have advertisers because they're liberal and they're losing relevancy. So Newsom and the Democrat politicians in California have to prop up their buddies in the left-wing media. But we're going to follow the money, find out who's getting the money, what sort of editorial positions do they take. Particularly, did they endorse Gavin Newsom's Prop 50? Oh, yeah, you know the quid pro quo is on. Coming in at number 4, AB 1207 imposes a new climate change tax on you. It extends the cap and trade charges for 15 years until 2046. Everything you buy that has anything to do with carbon, gasoline, electricity, has a carbon tax on it. This extends that multi-billion-dollar, $10 billion a year carbon tax. It increases your gas per gallon by 28 cents to 43 cents per gallon. This is costing working families a lot of money, and it just got extended. So much for dealing with the cost of living crisis, Gavin Newsom, right? AB 1127 basically is, it's another assault on the Second Amendment. It effectively bans most handguns. It says if a handgun could possibly in the future be modified to be firing automatically with one trigger pull, that it's banned. By the way, AB 1127 is going to get overturned by the Supreme Court. But again, Gavin Newsom doesn't care. He's just showboating, putting chum in the water. Again, look what I'm doing over here. He knows it's not going to be upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court. But in the meantime, he infringes on your freedoms. Coming in at number 6, SB 79 allows developers to buy single-family homes and build massive apartment towers on one plot, one single-family home plot up to 6 stories high. Strips away local control for your city council or your county board to say no to these mega dense, uber dense developments that don't fit the character, the quality of the community that they're being put into. Now, Gavin Newsom gets the money, honey, from those rich developers, the kickbacks. They're bankrolling all sorts of Democrat politicians because they don't care about whether a development project fits the local community. They just care about development by right. And that's wrong. I'm all for more affordable housing, but local control is always best in housing decisions. Coming in at number 7, AB 361, it ends fair and open competitive bidding on government contracts by making permanent a contracting process known as project labor agreements that basically says if you're not a member of the union, you're not allowed to bid on the contract. This is insane. It's literally weaponizing government against the small business owner, the veteran-owned business, the woman-owned business. And yes, despite the hooting and hollering of Democrats about how they're all for minority rights, it discriminates against minorities. Because the union firms tend to be the big boys, tend to be the Caucasian-run owned businesses. I believe in union and non-union bidders. Just make it a competition that's open and fair. And whoever wins, wins. It's good for the taxpayer. It's good for the business. Coming in at number 8, SB 42 allows for your taxpayer money to go into campaigns for politicians, publicly financed campaigns, which voters already said they didn't want repeatedly. The politicians want your money. They're already using a variety of mechanisms to launder money to left-wing political groups at your expense, and this just makes it even more direct, SB 42. AB 288 is a massive giveaway to union bosses. Do you detect a theme here? Union bosses are the master of the Democrat politicians with their money, honey. Direct state government to take over the role from the federal government in attacking employers and bullying employers to force them to force their employees into unions so that the unions can take money out of their paychecks. Follow the money. It's not about worker rights. It's about these people forcing people into a union, taking their money, and then giving a big chunk of that money back to the politicians. AB 288 instructs the Public Employee Relations Board to basically perform illegally the role of the federal government, the National Labor Relations Board. And finally, I covered this on a standalone podcast this week. AB 495 allows strangers to take custody of minor children without the parents' say. I did a full podcast on it, go into the details of it, but this is an atrociously bad bill that puts the safety of children at risk, eviscerates parental rights, and it's quite dangerous. Now, I mentioned, what are we doing to fight? And the only way to fight is to take the votes that legislators cast on these bills and weaponize it against them. We are going to target the most vulnerable Democrats in the state assembly and the state senate who voted for these 10 bills. We're going to target them with candidates who are going to run against them and give them the race of their life. And hopefully we're going to win a bunch of races. We're narrowing down our list of targets because we can't go after all these politicians, but all we need to do is take out a couple politicians because of these bills, because of the bad votes that those incumbent politicians cast on these 10 bills. It sends a message. There are consequences for bad behavior. I call it the gazelle strategy. Instead of us all trying to run after every politician to take them out of office, we pick a couple of them, the weakest ones. We weaponize this list of 10 bad bills against them. We take a couple of them out of office. That's how the lions hunt the gazelles. That's how we must target politicians and end their political careers. But I can't do this alone. I need your help. So go to that website, reformcalifornia.org. Do 3 things. Number 1, sign up at the bottom. Number 2, chip in a contribution. Number 3, share the campaigns and get involved in the campaigns that we have up there. Finally, 85% of you, about 84% of you, who are watching this video right now are not subscribed to this channel. We do this podcast every day at 5 o'clock to give you the update on what's really happening in California news and politics. The update that you're not going to get from the biased liberal media here in our state. Support the podcast just by subscribing. It's free. Click a like button on this video and share this video with your friends and family. Help us spread the word. Those are the 10 bad bills that Gavin Newsom just signed into effect. And there's others. We'll be covering those in a future episode. Until next time, I'm Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California and a California state legislator. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. But before you click away, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification button so you get updated when we post new episodes. Plus, like this video and share it with your friends so that we can help spread our message across the state. Reform California with Carl DeMaio is paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly.